Hello friends, we're just going to get straight to it in this video on the impact of Gui Santos and how viable he's become for the success of the Warriors. Let's dive in. Connectivity at power forward has been a vital issue for the Warriors the last couple of years, but it's now solved thanks to the presence of Jimmy Butler and Santos. Santos is on Tobias Harris here and ices the screen, but gets shoved off by Harris, but there's no call, so he adjusts and sticks to the rolling Jalen Duren. Loon needs to be up tighter here because he's giving Harris too much room to shoot, and it's not like Harris has the speed to drive past him anyway. But it's too late. Harris obliges and shoots, but misses. The key to completing this play is Santos' ability to box out the much bigger Duren on the switch, which he's able to do, and GP2 is there to clean the glass. Here's something you don't see very often. Loon is looking to be the passer on the short roll for GP2, but for some reason doesn't make the pass here. GP2 is ahead of his man, so it's a quick 2-on-1 opportunity, and this is a bang-bang play that Looney must execute. Instead, the play is botched. Loon is now stuck, but Santos flashes to the middle. GP2's cut ends up being a screen on Harris, and Santos knocks down an open mid-range. Santos being able to hit shots in open space is a huge deal for an offense predicated on taking advantage of open space. More power forward stuff from Santos. He starts the possession on Simon Fontecchio, hedges to make sure Buddy Hield can stay connected, surveys the situation while splitting the difference between his man at the arc and helping the possible helper, the helper being Looney. Hield stays connected to Malik Beasley, allowing Looney to stay on Stewart, but is pinned by Stewart and is in danger of losing the rebounding battle. With no pass being made to the shooter, Santos is able to jump ahead of Stewart and complete the defensive possession with a rebound. As usual, subtle but powerful. Nice connection on this play between Trayce Jackson-Davis and Santos. With plenty of time on the shot clock, Butler runs to Hield to run a play called Chicago, which is just a fancy word for a pin down screen that leads to a DHO for the shooter. Trayce looks off the play, and I really don't mind because I'm tired of relying on a bunch of shots from Hield. Trayce runs to the opposite corner, looks off Moses Moody on the way, goes for a DHO with Santos, who fools his man and cuts to the rim, and Trayce delivers the timely pass for a layup and one. The more Santos plays, the more versatility he's showing as a scorer. We don't get to see Trayce very often these days, so I'll show a couple of highlights for him in the 2 minutes he got to play with Loon in foul trouble. Here, Moody gets completely burned by Schroeder on a simple crossover, and Schroeder now thinks he's got the speed advantage to get to the rim, but Trayce is able to trail right behind on the play and block the shot at the rim. Unfortunately, the ref called a completely bogus goaltending call. Trayce wants it challenged because he knows it was a block, but Kerr does not oblige, and it's a missed opportunity. The Pistons are now in transition. Stewart is ahead of Trayce. Santos gets in front of the play to prevent an overhead pass while staying connected to the corner man. With some confusion on the right side of the floor, Schroeder finds himself wide open on the pass from Beasley. Trayce sees it and runs out for the recovery while Butler now drops to cover Stewart. Schroeder decides to launch the three, but once again underestimates Trayce's ability to recover and gets his shot blocked. If you like the content so far, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and hit that like button so that this video gets out to all the Warriors fans out there. Poor execution by Santos here. Curry sets an off-ball screen for GP2. Ausar Thompson is way too late to react on the switch because he wants to stay glued to Curry, and GP2 is home free. But Santos is pressured by Harris, and instead of throwing a quick bounce pass, he throws a late, wild overhead pass that GP2 is barely able to save from going out of bounds, and the defense recovers. The rest of the play is a scramble. Santos cuts at the end, receives the pass, spins to his left, comes to a stop, and takes a one-legged fadeaway. It was a great move, and he got a lot of separation, but the shot barely grazes the rim. The fact that he's willing to try a shot like this shows he's getting more comfortable, and we'll see if he can knock down shots like this in future games. With Santos on the floor, there's another handler who can consistently bring the ball up the court. Believe me, that's not a job you want just anybody to have. Rather than running a DHO with Hield, Santos tries his luck again against Harris, spins to his left again, but there's a slight bump on the play, and a foul is called, and Santos is able to get to the free throw line with the Pistons over the limit. It's always nice when players on the Warriors are able to create easy opportunities by getting to the free throw line. Loon looks to set a screen here for Steph, but he doesn't take a proper angle, so Curry dishes off to GP2 to avoid a trap. GP2 dishes to Santos near the corner. Harris gives him too much room, and Santos calmly drains the 3, the same way he did against the Knicks in crunch time. His ability to create quick and easy offense like this is a huge development for the Warriors. This is the difference between a small guy like GP2 and Santos. A basic pick and roll for Cade Cunningham, who gets past GP2, who elects to gamble from behind and gets nothing out of it. Looney now has to contest the shot and does well, and is now on GP2 to recover on Looney's man Jalen Duren. But GP2 is too small, doesn't get in front of Duren at all, and he's able to tip the ball against a helpless Loon who cannot guard 2 players at once. This is an example of why I always fought Kerr on the idea of playing the 6'2" GP2 at power forward. Just an absolutely comical idea. Santos guards Cunningham here, does well to stay in front of him through a screen, stays with him through the crossover, and does a nice job contesting the tough fadeaway. But Cunningham is a dude, and he knocks down a tough one. The key point is that Santos is able to keep his man in front of him without getting blown by, which is a staple part of any good defensive team. Look at the forward tandem of Santos, Butler, and Draymond, a new iteration Kerr is trying out for his small ball on this play. As Cunningham gets a full head of steam in transition, Santos picks him up, Draymond is there for the help, and wow, it looks like Draymond is somehow able to tip the initial pass and tip it away from reaching Duren at the same time. Santos would have been there regardless, but he gets shoved by Duren, and a lot of people want to compare Santos to Anderson Varejao, and well, they certainly look alike, and this fall looks awfully familiar. Anyway, Butler is able to keep the ball away from Cunningham on the loose ball, and Warriors have possession. Here Moody gets screened illegally, no call. Curry has the switch, but Moody runs back anyway, forcing Curry to relocate to his man, but is met by a Duren screen. Both Draymond and Santos seize the play. Draymond ends up running Beasley off the 3-point line. Santos adjusts and recovers to his man. Curry is now forced to keep Duren in front of him. Beasley drives and elects to shoot the floater instead of passing off to Tim Hardaway Jr., and Butler is there to block the shot, and Curry recovers for another defensive stop. See, the small lineups are only worth running if they're good enough to get stops consistently, and the tandem of Curry, Moody, Santos, Butler, and Draymond have been well connected with enough size and switchability. Quinton Post had trouble finding his effectiveness in the starting lineup and quickly got into foul trouble to begin the third quarter, picking up his 4th foul on this drive by Cunningham. Not sure why he was arguing this, because it was obviously a foul. Butler had an ISO situation on this play, but got himself into trouble underneath the rim. Santos sees the situation, and rather than staying camped outside, he makes the smart play and makes himself available on the cut to the basket, but got intimidated by Duren and badly short arms the floater. Luckily, drawing Duren allowed Draymond to get free and get to the ball and finish the play. And here comes Santos' loudest defensive possession of his career. Cunningham uses a high screen from Duren, who slips the screen. Cunningham now has 2 on him. Butler is initially there to cut off Duren from getting to the rim, but for some reason lets him go and runs to Beasley, who was already being covered by Curry. A defensive mistake by Butler. Duren is now open under the rim and is about to get a dunk. Santos sees the play and rotates hard to contest. If that was Moody, GP2, Kuminga, Wiggins, whoever else you can think of on this team or was on this team, they're letting Duren get that dunk. Santos refused to give up though, went up for the contest, meets him at the apex, and blocks the dunk attempt. Unbelievable effort. The loose ball hits Duren, who is unable to save the ball from going out of bounds. Warriors ball. That's the kind of play that can ignite a run for this team. And in fact, Curry would go on to hit a 3-point shot on the next possession to reach 25,000 points and a 5-point swing in favor of the Warriors. A 5-point swing. The Warriors would have lost this game without this swing right here. Curry ices the screen on this play and directs Beasley to the baseline, but Draymond gets out of the play to recover on Harris even though Moody was right there, compromising Curry's position. Beasley is able to drive past Curry now, so Butler rotates to be the last line of defender and is able to force Beasley into a bad shot. Meanwhile, Santos rotates once again to Duren and has the size and grit to keep Duren pinned on the box out and grabs the rebound over him to complete the defensive possession. Again, if this was any other smaller guy masquerading as a power forward, Duren is likely getting an offensive rebound and a putback here. And this is why on this channel, I fight so hard on who can or cannot play a small ball power forward role on this team. By the end of this, both Butler and Santos are on the ground. And this is what I mean when I say it's taxing to play small ball, and this style of basketball should be run more sporadically than regularly. But again, it is at least working with a guy like Santos out there. And it tends to work even when one of Draymond or Butler are on the bench. Here's another example where a bigger lineup probably changes a defensive possession like this. Moody gets screened off by Harris to force a switch. Cunningham makes one simple double cross that completely loses Butler. That was a little too easy, and you have to hope Butler is more capable than this as a perimeter defender, because sheesh. Draymond is there to contest, but Cunningham finishes easily over him. If the players on the floor were Butler, Draymond, and Trace, then Draymond would have been the one to get the switch instead of Butler, and that double cross is probably not getting through Draymond as easily as it did on Butler, which would have kept Draymond more connected on Cunningham's drive, and then he would have been met by Trace. See the vision? Another ISO situation for Butler. He rises up to take a tough fadeaway off the glass over Harris that misses, but look at Santos run through Beasley from the three-point line, and despite Duren clearly having position to rebound here, Santos is able to fight for it in mid-air. Duren is overwhelmed and goes out of bounds with the ball. Santos' energy and effort is simply unmatched, and he's truly becoming an indispensable two-way threat for the Warriors. Yet another great defensive possession for Santos, who cuts off Schroeder's drive, then recovers on his man to play one-on-one defense, forcing 0-0 to take a wild attempt off the glass that misses. Here, Heel dishes off to Moody in the corner for the three that misses, but of course, Santos is there for the offensive rebound for another possession to the Warriors. Butler gets a three-point shot out of it, but the shot comes up short. Another good defensive possession here. Harris throws up a pump fake. Santos contests but stays down. Harris drives to his left, throws a shoulder bump. Santos absorbs and contests perfectly, but a better shot by Harris falls through the net. And here's the play of the game. The Warriors are down by a point with a little over 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They need a bucket here to take the lead. Santos sets the high screen for Curry, and Santos makes a hard cut, forcing Thompson to switch off rather than staying on Curry. Draymond comes up to set a screen on Harris. Duren is playing drop coverage, and the execution is perfect for an open look for Curry. But he was off for a chunk of this game and misses yet another shot that would have given the team a 2-point lead. But look at Santos, who repositions himself after Thompson takes away his space on the box out. Santos rises over Thompson for the rebound, but not only does he get to the ball with one hand, he then guides it straight to the basket while getting shoved in mid-air by Thompson. Oh my God. That is simply epic. And I really don't know who else or anybody else on this team could have made a play like that. Santos is simply unreal. This was actually a dangerous play, and Santos took a really hard fall to the ground. It should have been called for a flagrant, but the ref somehow called it a common foul. Shoot. Draymond pushes someone like that in midair, he's probably getting ejected. But back to the topic, look at Santos, man. He doesn't even care. His passion and energy is through the roof, and his teammates are simply in awe. Unfortunately, he couldn't finish the three-point play. As if we haven't seen enough, here's another one. Thompson is going full speed in transition to the rim. Duren sets a sneaky Gortat screen, but Looney fights through it. Santos saw it the whole way and contests at the rim to force a miss, and the Warriors keep their 1-point lead. On the other end, Santos looks for something to develop for Curry, but there's nothing. He sees an open path to the rim if he can get by Cunningham, and that's exactly what he does, blowing by an unsuspecting Cunningham and getting all the way to the rim for a layup. Wow. Great job by GP2 to recognize the situation and stop his cut to the rim short while also keeping Harris at bay. The fans are absolutely loving it. Santos gives the team a much needed 3-point cushion in crunch time, and he has 15 points on 7 shots to go with 6 rebounds. We're talking about a player who came up through the G League here, but Santos is completely unafraid, and given an opportunity, he's given Kerr and the coaching staff no choice but to have to play him because he's that good. Check out this great fortune. Like I said, Curry's been highly off the mark in this game, and he's got the wiry Thompson all over him, but throws up this highly difficult shot anyway, and it's a kiss off the glass. Curry can't believe it because, let's be real, that was a lucky ass shot. And once again, Warriors in a dire situation down 3 with under 3 minutes to go. Curry's been grabbed all game off the ball to prevent him from shooting the 3, so he cuts to the rim here, and luckily, Beasley has his back turned from the passer to front Curry, or else this would have been a steal, and Curry ends up getting the and-1 finish at the rim. Tough. Next possession down, Santos is in an ISO situation with the game tied. Harris dribbles to his left, throws a shoulder bump that Santos easily absorbs, so this time he throws a forearm and an elbow to shed Santos, and that should have been an offensive foul, but nothing is called. Moody tries to help, but it's too late, and Harris hits a huge shot to untie the game. The game is coming down to the wire. Pistons run a high pick and roll for Cunningham to force a switch on Curry. Cunningham methodically dribbles to his left, but Curry is able to stay connected to him by putting a body on him. Cunningham then spins to the right for a sudden change of direction that, kinda wrecks Curry's ankles and drops him to the floor. Good Lord have mercy. This young man is a problem. Still, Curry being able to force Cunningham to slowly get to his spot without anything close to a blow-by from the top allows the defense to send help, and Draymond meets Cunningham at the rim to force a wild miss. All things considered, an affordable defensive possession by Curry, even if it cost him both his ankles. Payback time for Butler, who gets another ISO against his favorite opponent Tobias Harris and does what he does best, knocking down a clutch contested mid-range jumper. Warriors up 2, Schroeder attacks Santos going to his right, and Santos kept his arms up the whole way to let the refs know he's not reaching, but Schroeder throws his shoulder into Santos and the refs reward him with a foul call. The refs were doing this to Santos all night, and that's all she wrote for Santos, who ends up fouling out of the game. Ball does not lie, Schroeder only hits one of the 2 free throws. A must-score situation, Curry sets the ram screen for Moody, who sprints up to set a high screen for Butler. The play is really designed for Curry, but Schroeder knows exactly what the Warriors are doing, and is glued to Curry to prevent him from using Draymond's exit screen. Draymond sees Curry can't get free, so he gives up on the play, slides up to the 3-point line. Durant is living with Draymond getting the ball over Curry, and Draymond dares to shoot this 3 and makes the Pistons pay. So unreal, so gutsy. And it all comes down to this. Up 2 for the Warriors, Cunningham ISOs from the top and looking to get a switch on either Curry or Hield. My mind is blown, because why in God's name would Hield be on the floor right now with the game on the line? In future situations like this, Kerr cannot risk the game in this manner and put Hield into a final possession for the sake of offense in the previous possession. Luckily, Moody has his hand in the cookie jar and is able to completely stop Cunningham, his former high school teammate, from doing anything. The ball is loose, Draymond is able to get to it, and the refs call a foul on Durant, and the Warriors would go on to narrowly win this game. Could they have done it without the Herculean efforts of Gui Santos? Most definitely not. Santos is getting better and better with each passing game, is proving to be a two-way force, and at this rate, he's going to be a vital role player for this team in the playoffs.